Hi, Sean.
Hello,
How you doing?
I'm fine.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I think I overslept. My eyes are looking tired. Are they?
Yes,
I think I overslept. Okay, but I had a good nap. I was tired. Okay. So how are you doing? Were you looking forward to this life? Me, I'm
oh,
excited to have this conversation with you.
definitely.
This conversation I have with you every day. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. You know, when I was thinking of having a conversation with you, I was like, oh, what are we going to talk about? I was thinking, okay, we always talk about, the things, the challenges that children your age go through or your peers. We talk about what life is like now as to how it was in my time. I know one of the things that we always try to find. Are you okay?
Yeah,
I know one of the things that we're always trying to find a common ground with was what music was like in my time, what it is like in your time, or the fact that we didn't have social media and people, connected more physically, like would play games, would visit each other. Um, we had more real connections, and then there was no pressure because I mean, we didn't know what was happening in America or what was happening in London or what was happening even in Ghana next door. We just knew
yeah,
what was happening on our streets. And, there wasn't as much pressure, then as there is now with the fact that the world is a small global village now that you people have your social Bible called social media. So let me ask you my first question.
okay,
Hmm?
okay.
What do you think? Are the challenges that an average teenager or preteen being, maybe children from 9, 10, 11, 12, what do you think is the average challenge or average challenges that people, children that age or teenagers, people don't like to be called children and you guys are not supposed to be called children. Well, what do you think are the average challenges that teenagers and preteens go through?
Okay. I personally do not experience, but like things I've watched, seen, people who have like experiences of like what they through that causes them to go into this. It's like they, their parents, right? Don't listen. Believe parents don't care about how, which is one thing that really affects like children who say they can like they don't communicate with their
Okay, so
dad.
they don't have the opportunity to, well, the parents don't create like a safe space for them to be able to communicate with them. They can't really share what is on their inside with their parents. Is that what you mean?
Exactly.
Okay, so one of the problems, the challenges is you have so much inside you want to express, but you feel, but why don't they think they can express those things to their parents?
One thing is okay. One, I am if this your parents turning everything into every
Sorry?
single when you tell your parents, let's say, okay, party, and then you were having fun at that parents, they turn it into a whole lesson on. Don't you know you're not meant to? When I was at parties and stuff like this, they shut children down. You understand? They don't shut them down, but like, it's like, oh, come on now, what's this? You understand? Those other children feel as if their parents are shouting their voice, stuff like that.
Okay, so they feel like they're not giving it. Okay, so when you feel like you don't have a voice, so in my head, I'm having this mental image of someone shouting, but nobody can hear him, or he can't hear himself, right?
Yeah,
So
just
yeah, okay, so you can't share, and your parents are like the first people you get to know, and you want to be able to tell them anything. And then when you can't tell them anything for fear of being judged or being talked down or being shouted at, you'd rather just keep stuff to yourself, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
correct.
so what other challenge are children your age going through?
Another one is peer pressure.
Mm,
This one, okay. So I'm not the kind of person that easily because, but like I've happened, I've witnessed peer pressure at full extent, trying to do something, or if you can't do it, something like that. Let's going and they're jumping over the house, and you want to jump because you don't believe.
So I'm thinking you should speak closer to your microphone or to your phone because I hear part of your voice and then part of it just disappears, you know. So,
Okay, can you hear me now?
yeah.
Okay, so um, let's for example, people are jumping over this guy's fence to like just go and like have time, like knowing that you're breaking into some like you don't want to do that because you have more of that you from doing these stuff, and then you're not like, oh, you're cool, we're hanging with you. So like it makes this children. Okay, if I want to be cool, then I have to do this stuff.
Okay, so the pressure of doing the stuff that you don't want to do because for your age, when you do these things that every other person is doing, makes you look cool or it makes you cool. But when you don't do the things that other people are doing, then it looks as if you're not cool. So that pressure will make people want to do the things that they're not supposed to do, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so what other challenge? Is that all? Peer pressure, not being able to talk to their
Um.
parents or for parents to create a safe space for children. What other pressure or challenge? No, not pressure, challenge are teenagers and preteens going through in this age?
Another challenge that I believe, like people like teenagers go through is
Depression. And in fact, that's important because we've had conversations outside, here a lot of times, and you tell me that you don't understand how. I think the first time we had this conversation, you're like, you don't understand why a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old would be depressed. Now, what in your experience? I'm surprised I'm saying this in your experience. What do you think is responsible for depression among young children your age? Because honestly, I'm thinking, why would any child be depressed when it's not like you're paying bills, you are paying rent, or you have a family to look at? What would make them depressed?
okay. So this one I've been thinking about a while, and I wanted to talk about this one because it happened. Okay, so one thing transferred depression, right? And
Mm.
I have been a victim of that one once in my life. After I watched the film, you understand, called The 13 Reasons Why. So one was just it was much. So like, the depression and sadness from that film was transferred to me at that point. And even
Okay, so sometimes it's from the content that you're exposed to,
yes,
either on social media or movies, right?
yes.
What movie was that got you depressed? Please, where was I when you were watching?
13 Reasons Why.
Oh, I watched it with you. Yes, I think I also, had that transference. There was a lot to learn, but then it was also very, it had a lot of impact on emotions. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Then another thing that I believe can depression in children is when they don't feel like they able to talk to their parents, you understand?
Mm.
Like in my case, Joy, my mother
Joy is your mother. Stop separating the two of them.
in my case, Joy,
Okay.
um she's someone that you can open, someone that if I have a problem now, like I can express myself to her because that makes her like my best friend. Not like
Oh.
point.
Oh,
And like the fact that to express myself, that makes me a much more happier child. But there that do not allow, they shut their children.
mm.
They don't allow them have a voice. If they're angry, they'll tell them, "Oh, you're angry with someone," and or just stuff like make children, you understand, go and rebellious, depressed, you understand.
Because they can't have conversations with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so depression comes from two things: content that children are exposed to, peer pressure, also, when you need to be someone that you're not, and not being able to talk to your parents. So you're imploding, you're keeping so many things on the inside and you're imploding. Oh, Sean, Miss Neka is online. You're Miss Neka. Guys, he used to have a huge crush on Miss Neka when he was in pre-nurse, pre-primary. Okay, let's go back to what we're saying. Sorry about that. Okay, so Sean, what are the greatest influences on you guys, on your generation? What are the greatest
On,
influences on your generation?
like, do you mean in like platform?
Yeah, no, the things that influence you guys, where you get your influences from, your trends, the way you behave, the way you act, the way you dress, the way you look,
Okay.
the things you want to do with your life. I mean, okay, like I can tell you that in my own time, our greatest influences in my time were one, our parents, because we grew up in a time where academics was like the biggest thing. In fact, if you're thinking of becoming an artist or an actor or a musician or a basketballer, it's like something is wrong with you. Do you understand? So our own greatest influence was our parents wanted to be doctors, medical doctors like them, lawyers like them.
Yeah.
And then of course we another influence we had was one of our other greatest influence was church, was the word of God, because we always went for either Bible club, well, from Sunday school to Bible club, and then to youth fellowship. I know they don't have the youth fellowship thing so much now, maybe called something else now, but we had those were like, and then we had girls brigade, boys brigade,
Yeah.
and we get to attend these things where we're taught morals, and all that. So most our greatest influences, and then books. We read books because we didn't have social media then, so we read books. So our influences came from these things. So, but now this is a different generation. So, what are the greatest influences in your generation? Because we see a lot of things that are happening in your generation. So, what are the greatest influences now?
Okay, so one is social media.
Hmm. And that's a very wide topic.
Exactly. Number
Mhm.
musicians.
Hmm. That's
Number
a very
three,
big one. And I noticed that most of the musicians in your time crossed over from Disney.
yeah, some of them. Like those are pop musicians though. Pop and stuff.
But don't you think they have a lot of influence? Because I mean, someone you watched on Disney cartoon, who was sorry, not cartoon, Disney Channel, who was this nice, young girl or young guy, and they were like, your favorite stars on Disney, and then they grow up and then become, pop musicians that are probably, you know,
Yeah,
you don't understand.
I get
You
you.
get or like the other one that or they start having identity crisis and changing who they are.
Yeah,
um
like you understand, like people like that's Dove Cameron now.
okay, what happened to Dove Cameron?
Well, okay, Dove Cameron in this film, uh, most kids know her as like so. Liv and Maddie was a show, and Liv was who believed Dove Cameron, like she was Dove Cameron. Liv in this show was this, let's say, all American girl that just likes boys, like being fancy, girlish, and stuff like that. Same thing with Ariana Grande, but then
And
now
Miley Cyrus.
to be bisexual, and just spread flying pride flags everywhere. Them like this, like in the past. I really knew them my fan.
Sorry,
Um, I
what did you
personally,
say?
I personally knew them to be my past.
Okay, but they're not people you can look up to anymore because
Yeah.
why? Because of the choices they have made, the choices they are making.
Yes.
But I mean, they're teenagers who still believe in whatever choices they make, right?
That's the thing. It's a game of let's say a game of chess
Mm, okay.
in
How?
which your team it's two teams. There are two teams basically. The team that is or let's not call it chess. Let's just say there are three teams in it. There's a team that doesn't really care part of. There's a team that's over
Obsessed.
exactly. And then there's the team that just hates that other team, you understand? So it's just it's a try.
Okay, so basically, what you're saying is most of the greatest influences in your generation are mostly, um, artists, musicians, actors, social media influencers. That's the greatest influences in your generation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so at what point are your parents also an influence?
Okay. Let's say your parents being an influence for younger now. So let's say you're a kid, you look up to your dad so much. Your dad has this Superman complex, he can do anything. You also want to be that same kind of guy who can. You look up to your mom, the same thing. That's like complex. You want to be like that. person. It's just a when kids are have not found their own identity, right? What shapes a child is the home or he or
Yeah,
she.
comes from.
There's a foundation that has to be laid. Without that foundation, the house. So
Yeah,
even if house, you can see children take foundation, not what they hear. Okay.
it's what they
If
see.
yes, you can shout at a child from now to the end of time. They see you do what they'll do.
They'll do. Hmm.
Exactly. That's the
So
thing.
So that means that parents are also influences, but in a way, the way parents are influences on children is by what they do, what the children see, what happens in the home, the things that
Because
happen around them, what they are watching. Mm. So it's not as much as what the parents say, like what the parents do, the kind of relationships that go on in the home and all that. Wow. Okay, that's a lot. But for you, what's your greatest influence?
first of all,
Minus me.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Second of all, the top G Andrew Tate.
Hey God. See, okay, so tell me about Andrew Tate, John, because you go on and on about Andrew Tate. Tell me about him. Why is he an influence? Why do you
Okay,
see him as an influence? What's his story?
okay. Andrew and his brother. His dad, his dad was a chess player. This chess, you understand? Andrew's dad is someone who has always encouraged someone, you understand, a respectable man. And okay, let me skip forward. Andrew and Tristan, 19, 20 at that point. They were 19, 20 years
Mm,
broke. They were broke. They had no money then. But they believed that. See, Andrew kept calling him to be a big man himself, you understand? And I remember the day Andrew went to go and gamble Christian's watch and told Tristan that one day he will buy 6 watches. That they made a video literally. Andrew's a man that keeps his word. He's a man that encourages. He's trying to help men find their
I
masculinity.
think if you move closer to your phone so that your voice doesn't keep going and coming.
Okay. He helps men find their masculinity.
Yeah.
He's a man who encourages, you understand?
It encourages men to find their masculinity.
Yeah. He also encourages to be go-getters. He encourages men to be, you understand? He encourages them to be what he calls Sigma.
Okay. What is Sigma?
You see, social media has Sigma so much that people hate it now. Okay. So Sigma originally was respect. Men command respect everywhere you go. You understand?
Men who do what?
Men who command respect. Men who are class. Men who, you understand, are able to hear. You understand? That kind of man that does everything he needs to do at that point. He's calm and collected. He thinks before he acts. That's a Sigma. Sigma is someone women. He respects females. He doesn't let many have.
Wow.
Sigma is basically the opposite of
an alpha,
but good in a good way. It's like anti-feminine.
Okay, so basically, why do you feel like he's one of your greatest influences now? Because I know that I had to go and check him out when I saw that you were always going and rotate, and I found out that in a world where men are beginning to lose their identity as men and are beginning to take on female identity, I know that some of the things he talks about is about men not giving up their masculinity. He sees it as a battle against men being, men. And he believes that it's important to know who you are from what I've listened to him say. And then men should work hard to be successful. They should believe in putting in the work. They shouldn't think that it can happen overnight. And then he encourages fitness lifestyle, which I know has influenced you, a little bit. So for you, why is he your greatest influence?
Because Andrew's trying to, his only agenda is to make everybody as successful and wealthy as him. Okay? Andrew is somebody who does something and wants to take a long time. Andrew is somebody who won't see you messing up and not try. And you understand? There's that he says that people, you understand? But most of his key points are things that you listen to and be like, this guy's making sense. Like encouraging masculinity, body and mind fitness.
Body and mind fitness, that's the word. Body and mind fitness.
Also
I can take a lead from that too.
Yeah.
Encouraging what? Sorry, I didn't hear the last one.
Body and mind fitness. Also encourage men to make money. People to make money in that case.
Okay, so that's good influence. So we have Jesus, we have Andrew Tate. Do I fall in there anyway?
Yes.
Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, so tell me, what has your experience been like growing up?
Honestly, I've had a very nice life.
No, maybe it should be I'm having a very, very nice life. Not hard. I'm having.
It hasn't even started at this point.
Exactly.
So I'm having a nice life at the time. There's some challenges I've obviously gone through on the way, and I'm still going to meet challenges that are going to become who I'm meant to become. But yeah, I've got challenges, but my life of lately of going on is pretty soft.
Pretty soft. Okay, no, but I wanted you to go into detail. I want us to look at what are the things that you want out of life. Are you walking that path? Are you on that path to what you want? Okay, what was growing up like? Were you able to express yourself? Friends, what has friendship been like for you? Making friends. Then what has school been like? Your teachers, you know, basically stuff like that. That's what I want to hear. So I want you to break it down, really. The experience of growing up, because I can break down my own experience growing up for you now. So, what has it been like?
Okay. My experience growing. Okay. So, uh, I want to tell a story when I was in, I think, junior secondary school.
Okay.
So I had this teacher then or something. I can't remember his name.
Okay.
Who?
Maybe if you remember, you shouldn't be calling his name.
No, I can't remember his name.
But don't even call it if you remember. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, um, the person told me something during our. It was like, I have a male figure in my house. It was me
Mm.
and him. And
Oh, I remember that.
yeah, so it was something that you understand.
How old were you? I think you were 9, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I was
9
like,
or 9
yeah,
or 10. You were in GSS 1
yeah, I was
when
nine.
I think he was your social studies teacher.
Yeah,
And he said that, I think he was teaching something about family. And he said that because you don't have a male figure in your house, he doesn't think that you can relate to him. And thank God, even though you were young, you remembered and came home and told me.
yeah. I fight my battles. Well.
And I brought it down on him the next day in school.
I,
Yeah, I did it, yeah, I remember that. Okay, so I remember you had some of your tough years were in primary school in grade 5, I think so. I think those are the toughest, that was the toughest year of your life. It was so painful because I couldn't do so much about it, even though I tried. I tried going to school, I tried having conversation, but I couldn't do so much about it. So I want you to share that part.
okay, so I got into grade 5 feeling like, okay, this move on to secondary school. Uh, I had this teacher, okay? So he or she, they were,
It's okay, she.
okay, she was a very, I saw, but she was like a bully to me at that point because
I totally agree.
I had seen, I didn't know when people about her class, they always told me about her class as she's a nice person, everything. I'm someone that when I was younger, I had this thing called I didn't like what you
School.
call school. I still don't like school, but you understand now like I'm good in school because I'm into it and I told myself, you understand, you have to put in the work. Still, I'm someone who did not like school at all. So I was not, and when you don't like something, you're not learning. Understand? So in school back then, oh god, sometimes I was the slowest writer. I'll tell you the story of why I was here after this one. But so we'll be writing in class and I'm a page behind and they have already electric board. They're not done. They would just come and like you understand? And they really
She was
it's
very
something
hard on you.
it's something that
And
brings
your
down
patience
it's something that brings down your
and self-esteem.
exactly because she would just come and go off on you in front of everyone. You
Mm.
understand? In front of everyone. Putting you to the side and telling you, oh, this is what and it brings down your stuff. So it made me feel as if at that point that You know what? Let me just get this. Then, God, I was bullied by girls.
So what was that? What you were bullied, but what was that deciding statement that she made that made you change your mind and say, you know what, I'm going to, show this woman that I can be.
This woman told me that she would be shocked if I made it into secondary school. Who tells a child that? I would be
At
shocked if you even make it into secondary school. It was
you
something
told me
that
you told me for you that was your decide that was the moment you made up your mind that you were going to prove her wrong, right?
yeah, said I must prove her wrong.
Yeah,
And
and I noticed when you entered GSS 1, you greatly improved from okay, because for me at home I saw how the pressure from school was telling on you. I know I'd gone to school a couple of times, had conversations with her, had conversations with the owner of the school, talks about how I didn't like the way she was. Sometimes when she talks to me, she wants to compare you with her children. She was very harsh, and I said, I had an issue with it. I kept complaining, but nothing was done about. When you used to be scared even to do you didn't trust yourself enough to know anything, even when I worked with you on your homework. But when you left and went to secondary school, I noticed that in the first term things became different. For one, you started writing with pen. You wrote with pencil throughout. um uh,
during
yeah, you didn't get the pen certificate, but when you went into secondary school, you started writing with the pen. You said you were copying your notes faster. And then, okay, of course, then we had the mathematics challenge for a few couple of years. And I noticed that just from nowhere, you moved from not knowing maths to being one of the best students when it came to mathematics, you know.
yeah,
And one of the things you told me is this was happening because you were in an environment where you were allowed to express yourself. And so that tells me how much is important for children to actually be able to express themselves
and
in environments that they find themselves. So 5 years down the line, okay, so you're about to write your final exams. You're 15 now.
yeah,
I think it was last year. She invited me to speak in that same school to children. You can remember. She invited me to speak to children in that same school. And I was going to go with you, but you're in school, so you couldn't make it, at least, so that she'll see that you made it to secondary school, and all that. But basically, what that teaches me is we have to be careful what we say to you young children, because you don't forget. And it's either it traumatizes you, it makes you, or it mars you. But I'm happy that I'm sure you've been able to get over the things that you went through at that period now. I'm sure you're in a better place, in a good place. Abby?
way
Eh?
better. I mean,
Way
way better.
better place. Okay, way better, in a good place. So I know that you're in a good place now. So basically, what would you say parents need to do when it comes to children, especially children who are your age? Okay, you are 15, 13, 14, 15, 16, so whatever, that age group. What do you think we need to do as parents to help you navigate this very delicate, sometimes confusing time in your life? Because I believe that this is a time you are beginning to discover yourself, who you are, what you want out of life, what you want to become. And, you're beginning to understand your own temperament, find your voice. Really, you said something in the beginning that parents don't let children have a voice because we shut you down when you want to talk. We, no, me, I don't shut you down. Do I shut you down? Not all the time. Mhm. So we shut children down when they want to talk. We don't allow them to express themselves. We want them to look at life the way we know it. We're not even interested in seeing how they see life. So what do you think that parents need to do to be able to create that environment for children, to help navigate your teenage years, one, and to be there to support you so you don't make wrong decisions, at this point in your life, because the world is going to a place where children are being given the power to make decisions about their lives, crazy decisions about their lives. And it's really scary because at the end of the day, this is the world that you guys are growing into, and this is what you're going to be navigating. So what do you think parents need to do? What's your word for us? I'm not telling you to snitch on your people, just on your generation. Just tell us what we need
Not,
to do.
not a snitch. But
Okay.
one thing I believe that parents need to start doing is please and please listen to your. If
Listen
they
to your
tell you
children.
that they're depressed or they're going, don't just tell them you're not paying bills, you're not doing this. Trust me, you're not depressed. Because that's when you want them to go and meet people to tell them they're depressed. And those other not react the same way they're reacting to you. The same way, let's say your kid now comes to you and is asking you about they're discovering themselves about linked to, okay, let's say um sex now.
Yeah, go
If a
ahead.
if a child comes, like, okay, if a kid goes to their parents and says, okay, tell me about their parents, sometimes, like, I don't know the exact percent, but let me say this out of this, a, a parent will tell them that, oh, go away, that, oh, blah, blah, I don't want you, why you tell please do all this, and then tell you to get away. But, like, if you don't teach them, they will go and learn it from
Somebody else.
they'll go and learn it from their friends else, and then you end up having a social recruit who is just, you understand, doing the wrong things, making wrong choices, just because he went outside to learn.
Mm.
Which is one thing parents need to. If you don't teach your children, someone else would.
If you don't teach your children, somebody else will teach them. I think this might take away today. Okay, go ahead.
Another thing is understanding and knowing how to talk to your children, and that, because most parents would just start, let's say, um you do something wrong, for an instance, and okay, don't get me wrong, there's a point in a child's life that beating is important, but then there's a point that
God knows
comes,
I did my job.
you need to actually sit with this, talk to them. So you can't be beating a, or let me not say you can't, let me just say, my in my own, if I was in my own, in my own shoes, and I'm a parent and I have this kid. Okay, so my child, let's say, did something wrong, and I find out, I talk, what I'll that case, I will talk to this, try to relate to them. You understand? Find why they did this, why they feel like what they normal to do, or stuff like that.
Sean, your audio is not too clear. I think you should come close to your phone.
Okay.
So you see, Sean. Mhm.
Okay. So personally, I'm the kind of person that I'll say I will talk to my children more than you know beating them, because you have to be able to make these children understand by explaining to them and trying to share your own experiences with them. Because
But when people have explained to them one time, two times, they still do the same thing.
okay,
Mhm.
okay,
Yes.
listen, okay, listen. There's a the same way I said spare the rod, spoil the
And
child.
spoil the child. Good.
It's not me that says the Bible. Spare
Mm-hmm.
the rod, spoil the child. It's the same
Yes.
way. If your kid keeps, you understand, misbehaving, yeah, you could discipline. You have to discipline your child. It's part of the parenting job. It's a package. You discipline them because you love them. You understand? It's one thing I have.
Thank you. Thank
That,
you. So you know that it was love, all love.
yes, it's so. In your case, if you back then, if you tell me one thing, caution me time. You understand? There's a point where, okay, you need to be beaten so you don't do this again. Because once you in doing one thing, you will not do it again.
Mm.
So yeah,
Okay, so you believe that parents should, above even beating and discipline, which you're not saying shouldn't be done, parents should learn to have conversations with their children, because you have to be able to talk to the child about why he's even being beaten in the first place. You have to have that conversation. I remember the last time I beat you. Can I share the story? Do you want to, or should I?
sure.
Okay, so I remember the last time I ever beat you. I think you were 12 or 11. I can't remember. 12. 11. No, 12. I think you were 12. Okay, so 11. Okay, so you want a cake, right? And I said no. And then you went ahead and had the cake. And I came home and saw that you had the cake. And I gave you a very nice whooping that day. But I still had a conversation with you after it. And what was my conversation with you?
Okay, so this conversation was on self-control.
Good.
Because if someone tells you no and you still go and do that thing, that means in the future you can rape somebody.
Yeah. So I told you
So
that
yeah,
it can make you steal or rape or take advantage of people, because no means no. If I said no, don't touch the cake, I expected you not to touch it. But I'm beating you not just because of the cake, but because of the fact that if I don't beat you now, you're going to think it's okay to still do something after you hear no. Yeah. And that is how people who you see commit all these atrocities,
right,
steal where they're
yeah,
working, rob other people, rape other people. This is where it comes from. It comes from not knowing how to stop when somebody says no. And I think you got the message, because since then you always, listen to no, don't touch it, and all that. So yes, so this is the good side of um not sparing the rod. But I also agree that the conversation has to follow, because without the conversation, sometimes you don't even know why you are being beaten.
yeah,
Sometimes you don't even know why you're being punished. But the conversation helps to break down the reason why this is happening. So you know that my parents are not beating me because they hate me. They're beating me because they're trying to make me remember that each time I think of the pain, I remember that this is not something, I should do, and which is what it should be. So basically, one of the things I'm getting from you today is where parents have to listen to their children and give them a safe space to have conversations with them. Because if your children can't talk to you, they're going to talk to someone else. So what else do you want to tell parents?
Another thing is that just because you have money or okay, one thing I want to say is that you don't have to have both your mother and father to have. And another thing is that there's no amount of money that's important to training your child,
That
because
is what?
there is no amount of money that is more important than training.
Spending time with your child.
Yes, you have to take time to sit down, have a chat with your child, or sit down and just ask them how was your day. You understand? But
Get to
most
know
parents,
them.
yeah, but most parents are what's it called? Focused on I'm making money. When the child comes to them, you don't talk to me. They don't know what I'm going through. Do you understand? Children are very inconsiderate people because their needs are very, and I consider myself
You consider yourself what?
I consider myself part of those people because there are sometimes I just ask
Thank
myself,
you.
John, you're being so inconsiderate, right?
I'm telling you,
So
because the demands never stop.
yes. So one thing is that there has to be a balance. There should be a balance between work and you cannot be
And
putting all
family time.
yes. You can't be putting all your time to work and any time to your family because start the family in the first place.
Yeah. Besides, there's so much influence out there now, so much negativity. You want to spend more time with your children to make sure that they are not taking
Yeah.
in the wrong information. You're right. You have to spend more time to them to know. Okay, so basically, also, I wanted you to talk about, How do you guys feel about how parents impose what they think you should do with your life on you as against what you want out of life?
Okay, let me put it from this angle. I hope my grandmother doesn't see this video, but my grandfather, being the chief justice he was, rest his soul. My grandmother, as his first grandson, like expects me to follow in his footsteps or understand, become a lawyer, judge, justice. But like, if you follow a path that you want to follow, you become depressed. You
Mm.
Because when you do what you don't love, you can never. Okay, let's say this: you can make money, but if you don't love it, you can never enjoy it
Or be fulfilled or happy.
or be for. Yes, exactly. Like in my case now, I've had so many phases of what I wanted to be in life. You understand?
Tell me about it.
I'm
I've
still
been here for
evolving,
it.
and I'm still growing and evolving. So that means what I want to be in the future at some point. But understand,
But I'm always there to support the
and
things that you
always
say
you're
you love.
encouraging. Yes, you're
Yeah,
always encouraging.
there was a time my son said he wanted to start doing gymnastics. I didn't see, I could not even connect him with gymnastics, but what do I know? I was taking for gymnastics. And then that lasted for maybe a term. And then because I knew that he was passionate about basketball, but for some reason, he now said he wanted to be jumping poles. So I was like, okay, if this is what he was, okay, let's do this. And then we did it for like a term. And he decided that, okay, he was going to go to basketball now. He wasn't doing gymnastics anymore. Then he developed a passion for music. And I said, okay, fine, because every day I wouldn't rest, as he did. He was just composing music at home. So I took him into a studio and he started recording his own songs. And he has about 13 songs, and I put them all up on Spotify and iTunes and all that. Because, you know, one of the things I noticed is when he started doing the things he loved, he started doing better academically. He started putting more into his academic because he was excited that he was doing the things he was passionate about. And he knew that the only reason he'd be able to go to the studio or be able to go to the basketball court is if I'm in school, I'm hearing that his grades are doing well. So because of that, he he began to sit up with his academics. I didn't have to be saying, go and do your homework or go and read your book. It came naturally to him at that point. And I'm seeing the benefit of actually supporting his now he's gotten up and he's now a full-time athlete and he's giving himself to basketball and he has told me that I mean that's it, that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
He's immersed in it. And I'm like, okay, I hope he doesn't evolve again in another year or two, but if he doesn't, well fine, we go with this. And for his career, I feel he's still trying to figure that out. I'm talking about you while you're sitting here. I don't know. Each time we have a conversation, have you figured out what you want to do in university?
Pardon?
Have you figured out what you want to do in university?
In university.
Mm.
The funny part, I could tell you yes, but next year it might change.
But for now,
So
what is it that you want to do?
for now, I want to read philosophy.
Okay, I thought it was psychology.
Sorry, psychology. I mixed that two
Mhm.
words.
Philosophy is what I read. You want to read psychology. Why do you want to read psychology now?
Okay. I am interested in the way people behave. It's baffling to get into people's minds, you understand? To see how and why they do what they do.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good reason to want to read psychology. That's true. Okay, so Sean, do you have anything else you want to share, or what do you want parents to take away from this conversation? And then what do you want your peers to take away from this conversation? Two things. What do you want your peers to take away from this conversation about growing up? And then what do you want parents to take away from it? Your peers, because I know that there's a lot of, we talked about influence, there's a lot of influence out there. There's a lot of crazy things going on, even though we didn't break them down one by one, but I know that we always have those conversations. What do you want your peers to take away from this conversation, first of all? Then when you finish with your peers, we can talk about what you want parents to take away from this conversation.
Okay. Firstly, for my peers, I want them to take away that you have to have faith in everything you do. Because when you don't have faith, that's when you find yourself struggling and find yourself at your utmost bottom. You understand? Because you don't have anything to believe in at that point. But then when you find where to put your faith, you always find out that you get stronger. So yes, one thing I want my peers to take away from this is have faith.
Okay.
And don't
So,
be afraid to speak your mind.
okay, don't be afraid to speak your mind. But also, how about the fact that there's so much trend, um, so many things that are going on now that you're supposed to do to make you look cool, or things are in vogue that everybody is doing, and if you don't do it, it makes it look as if you're not cool. What's your take on that for your peers?
Okay. Let me give an example. Let's say vaping now. Everybody, and I think at one point when vaping just like became a trend on TikTok, Instagram, everybody was just, I need a vape, blah 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 blah. You understand? But then you find out that these things are, you understand that you know that they're not good for you, but they still want to try them because everybody's doing it, everybody's being cool by doing it, you understand? And they believe that everybody is, you have to be that cool kid when you're vaping, you understand? They believe
Mm,
vaping makes you cool because they see
mm,
other people doing it. That's just the bottom of that point.
mm.
Then another thing is now one thing I don't understand it, but if you're not in a relationship, that's if you don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you're not cool. It doesn't make
At your
sense to
age,
me.
at this
Hmm,
age, it's
hmm,
serious.
hmm. If you don't have boyfriend or girlfriend, you're not
How
cool
do you
yet.
think appropriate age for someone to even think of dating or even talking to the kids that you're saying at bigger
In my opinion, there is no perfect age. It all has to do with your mindset. You have to be mature enough. You understand? If you're not mature enough, then you have
you don't
nothing.
have any business. Please, so don't mature yet. To stay the way you are, don't mature yet. Continue. Face your
And
studies. Don't mature yet. To
you have to reach a point in your life, honestly, where you know that I've gone through like these things that have built my mindset up to this point. I believe that I am mature enough to actually, and then you have to also build yourself up financially. You have to build yourself up mentally. You have to build yourself up physically.
career
You
wise,
understand? Yeah, career wise, exactly. You have to be at a point in your life that you're comfortable, you're steady, everything is
independent.
working for you. Independent, exactly. Because you can't have a relationship and then you and your wife or you and your girlfriend are living with your parents. You understand?
You will not
It's
bring that to my mind. Thank you.
so
Okay. Okay, so that's good. So um your pets should not be in a hurry to go into relationships because people are saying it's cool at this age. They should wait until they are mentally ready. There's so many things ahead of them. I remember when we were young, I used to tell you that focus on your studies, focus on your work, build yourself, have a good, build your career, become
that is exactly
successful.
the same thing Andrew Tate
Yeah,
has been saying.
become successful. The women we line up, you get to see. So I've always told you that. So it's not something you need to rush into, you know. Okay, so what do you think parents should take from this conversation?
Parents, please listen to your children because from this film I watched 13 Reasons Why. Hannah
Yes.
Baker, the girl, decided to kill herself because she couldn't talk to anybody.
Please, parents, go and watch 13 Reasons Why. Sean made me watch
Yes,
it. It's a 5-season series. It's on Netflix. It's called 13 Reasons Why. Trust me, you will
it's
reevaluate your relationship with your
with
children
your
when you
children,
watch 13
exactly.
Reasons Why. Go ahead, Sean.
You will talk to your kids after watching that show, because honestly, children believe that if they can't talk to their parents, then who can they talk to? Because they feel like their parents are their safe space. They believe
Mm,
that they're meant to be, protected by these our superheroes, which we call our
mm,
parents. You understand? But then, if
mm,
you're not able to talk to these people, then who can you talk to? That means nobody loves you. You understand? That's what they believe.
mm.
They
Which is
believe
what
nobody
leads to
loves you.
depression and suicidal, this thing,
Exactly, suicidal
mental health
thoughts and
issues.
stuff.
Yeah. Because when your parents, when you feel rejected by your parents, you start looking for love.
Yes, yes. No, I think our connection went off. But as she was saying, another thing I want parents to take away from this is your kids are a product of their environment. When you let your children, you understand, um, take in all this.
I lost you for a minute there. Okay.
Wait, wait.
So
When
is
you
that all for the parents?
No, I want to tell them something else.
Okay.
Okay, so when you let your children take in so much toxicity, it's it's like an apple. If it rots to the core. You understand? And if your child gets just that taste of that rot, everything will corrupt. Because one thing I have to say is that is the things that feel the best that are the worst things, and it's the things that are you understand, that are actually the best that you get through going through the worst part. You understand? Because you have to climb up, or you have to walk across the desert to get to water. You understand? You you have to walk across the desert to get to the water. The same way, you have to sacrifice to gain. You can't be cutting corners. You understand? And stuff like that. So you can't allow your children go and learn from outside instead of teaching them from inside, because you cannot push somebody to train your child if you cannot train your child, because they'll just feel neglected.
And then you said something that's very important that I like. You said we have to avoid toxicity as parents. It means that we shouldn't create toxic environments for our children at home. You know, where
Yes,
we always fight with our partners in front of our children. We're always losing it, having all sorts of mental, emotional, breakdowns in front of our children. It's because these are the things that shape them, and you make a lot of sense then. Okay. So Sean, thank you so much for coming on the
thank you
live
for
and
having me.
sharing stuff with us. I've learned a lot about your generation, and I've learned also, even though I've been learning from you all the while, but I've also, like I said, I'm taking away something today that if I don't talk to my child, if I don't let my child talk to me, then somebody else is going to be teaching my child the things that I don't let my child talk to me about. So yes, this is a good this and relationship with their children again. So if I'm not talking to my not answering my child's questions, or I'm not giving my child an opportunity to talk to me, somebody child out there, it might be social media with all the crazy stuff there, or it might be their friends who also do not even know what they're doing because they're just kids and they're
Yes,
figuring it out as they go along. And it's also important for me to make sure that I create the right emotional climate in my home for my child. And children don't do what we say, they do what we do. That's what you you've said today. So thank you so much, Sean. And it was really nice having you. And I look forward to another interesting conversation with you. And good luck with all your life plans, even though they're still evolving.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.